Greetings and salutations, everybody. My name is MiAh the King, and welcome to a first impressions review of a game that came out on Steam earlier today called Medieval Dynasty. And just to be safe, let me add that the game is released in early access currently and is asking for $24 at the time of this video. Also, I want to apologize if you hear a cat in the background. She's stuck with me today, so, you know, she might be there. Anyway, in this game, you play as a simple peasant in medieval times. You lived as the eldest son of a family of farmers. Their life wasn't glamorous, but they were safe, content, and always had food to fill their bellies. Then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Your home is burned to the ground, and you flee to where your uncle lives. It's said that he managed to gain a decent amount of coin and make a great life for himself in some other village. So you brave the forests to get to him. But when you get there, turns out he's dead. Wah, wah, wah. Now you have to start over from the ground up. With no family, no money, no tools, you have to find a family, build your own home, turn it into a village, and make a name for yourself in this medieval world. And that's pretty much the plot of the game, actually. Which, you know, it's not even that bad. It may sound simple, but it's done very well that it's engaging and helpful to push you forward to actually wanting to do stuff. This game is a survival game, and unfortunately it has no co-op. I really wish it did, because my wife and I love to play survival games together, but hey, if the game is good in other areas, then it just might be worth it. So, let's take a look at the good and the bad, and then I'll give my overall final impressions at the end of the video. Please stay tuned throughout the whole thing so that you can get as much information as possible. Also, if you enjoy this video or found it informative, I would really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button and that bell, leave me a comment, or hit that like button. Alright? Okay, so let's get into this. Let's go to the positives first. Number 1. The graphics in the game are spot on. I love the graphics. There are some scenes that just astounded me. I mean, I was standing on a bridge over a river, watching the sunrise over said river, and it was actually magical. I mean, can you imagine? It was actually really nice. Number 2, the sound effects. I mean, mostly they're a bit average. I mean, listening to the wolves is like listening to a recording of wolves, you know. It doesn't sound very realistic at all. But at other times, the sounds are great when you're like cutting trees and drinking water and cooking and stuff like that. And the music for the game was pretty good too. I mean, it was really like deep and it kind of just sucked you in, which is nice. Number 3, the core gameplay mechanic is pretty much solid. I mean, the resource gathering, crafting, your inventory, the tutorial, and overall movement and fighting mechanics, they're all pretty solid, you know. I don't have any real complaints, but nothing to write home about either. Like, the crafting in Grounded is better than this, but I mean, that's not to say that the crafting here is bad. It's just different, and probably a little bit more complicated, but easy enough to learn pretty quick. It's nice. I mean, it's kind of like a combination of Rust and Grounded, or Rust and the Forest. It's got the whole, you have to put your blueprint down and then smack away at it with the resources in your backpack, but like if you're grabbing logs, you don't have to carry them on your shoulder like in the Forest, they're in your backpack. But you still gotta, you know, have all the resources and slowly add them over time like you would in Grounded or the Forest. You kind of see what I'm going for here? Number 4, the immersion surprisingly works really well for something that seems a bit simple. The game tries to make you feel like the peasant who is having such hard luck, which makes you care and invested, which makes you play harder and longer, which gives you a greater experience. So I actually found myself wanting to do better based on what the game was throwing at me, and I love a game that has great immersion, and I don't care if it's a survival game, an action game, a platformer, I don't care. Immersion is always great, because immersion means dedication, it means commitment, and it means you're going to play it longer, you're going to experience more, you're going to enjoy it more, and you're going to get an overall better experience altogether. Number 5. For an early access release, it's actually not too bad overall. I mean, I didn't discover any bugs while playing. I mean, okay, I did discover a grinding frame rate drop in the beginning, but after I lowered my graphics just a little bit, I mean, it fixed it right up. It was smooth as butter. I was actually surprised at how easy it was to fix it, where a lot of games you try to fix it, and, you know, or a lot of early access games, I should say, where you try to fix it and it does nothing, and you're just scratching your head going, why the hell am I having such horrible frame rate drops? But here, I think maybe my PC might be getting a little bit out of date because I couldn't play it on the ultra settings, or maybe the resolution was wrong. I don't know. But it was still on high settings, and it was still looking great, as you can see from the video here, that, you know, even with that, the game was still running smooth as butter. I don't know if the recording worked smooth as butter, but when I was playing it, it was working smooth as butter. Have I said smooth as butter enough yet? Because I'm trying to sell stuff here. Number 6, the price. For a game like this, in early access, the price is spot on accurate. It's not asking for a giant pay drop for an early access, basically a demo, but instead it's asking for an appropriate price for an early access game of this quality and this size. I mean, basically, I'm not upset or afraid to spend this much money on a game of this quality. I actually think it's a great amount of money to spend on an investment on something like this that could turn into a really cool game. Number 7, there is a dynasty aspect here. You can get married, have a child, and they will carry on your legacy as you get old and die. Therefore, your game will never end, but it will only continue to get bigger and better and, broader as you continue to play. I think it's a really cool aspect that I'd like to see more development in. I'd like to see a little bit more attention brought to it. Also, kind of attached to this positive is you can recruit other peasants to join your village, and then you can assign them jobs, which will overall help your village to thrive. So you're not just building a home for you to live in with no real goal, like in Rust, where you build a house and then you just wait for someone to come knock it over, or in Grounded, where you just build a place to survive from the bugs. No, here you're not just doing that. You're trying to build a village. It starts off with you trying to build just a home for you to live in and you to thrive in, but then you're going to come to that point where you're like, man, I got tons of food and weapons and all these resources and nothing to do. I guess I'm pretty much done. No, build another house, invite some people to live with you, assign them jobs, and continue to do that. And I don't know what long-term effects this might have on the game, because there's lords and there's a war and there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. So there could be, I mean, think of the possibilities here. You're sitting there and you spend, I don't know, a week. Let's say you spend a week of playing this game all day. Let's say it's a completed version of the game, right? You spend a week, you're playing it all day, and at the end of that week, you've got a thriving village. And you're like, man, things are going really well. My farmers are doing great. My hunters are doing great. No wolf attacks recently. Things are going pretty good. And then all of a sudden, you see on the horizon a bunch of shapes moving towards you, and you're like, oh, I don't know what that is. And they get closer, and it's soldiers. And it's like, oh, crap. Why are there soldiers here? What are they doing here? Are they here to rob us? Are they here to burn our village down? I can't go through that again, man. I just can't. And then it's like, hey, we actually, for the Lord who works here, we want you to pay taxes, and we'll give you guards to protect you. Or they could be raiders. They could be bandits. Who knows? Think of the possibilities you could have here. You could equip your people with you could give yourself a badass blacksmith who's just making armor and stuff, and you can equip your villages, and you can defend yourselves from, I mean, think about what you could do here. There's so much here. And since the game is in early access, all these things are still a possibility. Make your comments known to the developers so they can give us this kind of stuff. But think about how cool that would be. Sorry, went a little bit on a side note there. That was not scripted at all. For those of you who complain about my things being scripted, they are scripted, but the scripts are kind of like cliff notes. It's kind of like I follow them, but it's not everything I'm saying. Number 8. There are quests you can do in this game. Main story quests and side story quests that help teach you and also get you some money and resources, along with building up relationship points with certain villagers and kind of, learning the game and how to do things and stuff like that, which is nice. It's good because it's like, hey, you can go do this for me, and you learn how to do it, but then you also gain money, so you're like, oh, okay, that's not bad. So I kind of like that a little bit. But now we got to move on to the negatives here. Number 1, the game is kind of empty right now. I mean, it is in early access, so that's fair. I searched for almost my entire hour of gameplay, and I only really found rabbits. I was ambushed by a wolf, though, and that was terrifying. I'm not going to lie. It scared the crap out of me. Maybe I just couldn't find any other animals, but I mean, yeah, those are the ones I found in my gameplay. I mean, at one point, I thought I saw a deer, but it turned out to be bushes. So there seems to be a lot of things missing in terms of crafting, and I don't know, maybe I just couldn't find them yet. Maybe I needed a certain requirement before I could find some of these things, but the game, it just overall feels unfinished when you're playing it. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like there's more there. I almost don't want to play it anymore or get too into it because I'm afraid I'm going to run out of content, and I'm going to have this idea in my head, I want to do this, only to find out that that particular item I need to do this isn't in the game yet. You know what I'm saying? Number 2. The villages, they need some work, big time. It doesn't look like there's nearly enough people for a village of this size. They're boring, they don't really have a whole lot to say, and wolves can chase you into a village, so I discovered. They can attack you, and everyone just watches as if nothing's happening. So I guess only your home is safe, but to be honest, I'm not even sure of that, because I didn't get a chance to test it. I did manage to kill the wolf, but he almost got me. So, I need better weapons or armor or something, because if I run into more than one wolf, I'm screwed. But yeah. Villagers are empty, they offer you no protection, they don't really offer you a lot of anything right now, and they need some work. Number 3, there are a few mechanical things in this game that frustrated me quite a bit, for a particular game like this at least. Like the difference, there's no continuity, there's no continuous trend to follow here. Like, you're going out and you're gathering things and you're just tapping the E button to gather things, and then it doesn't work, and you're like, why? So you go back and you hold E, and that's how you collect it. And there's no real reason as to why that's the way it should be. Hold E here, but click E here. It doesn't really make any sense. Make it one or the other, or at least give me a reason why. Because what I mean is, like, you're picking up a stick from the ground. Great, tap E. You go to pick up a stick off of a bush, and now you're holding E. It doesn't really seem like that's what I should be holding E on. If I want to hold E on something, it should be like gathering berries or gathering mushrooms, because you have to be careful with those things, you know, so it makes sense that it would take a little bit more time. But if I'm just trying to break sticks off of a tree, it takes the same amount of time as it does picking one up off the ground. So why? It's just a minor thing, but you see what I'm talking about, how that can get a little irritating when you're trying to grab things. There's also an overlapping issue where you see a rock here that you want to pick up, but your game wants you to pick up the bushes that are, you know, a foot to the right because it's slightly covering it. So you have to pick up those bushes first before you can get the rock. That's just an example, but that's everywhere. So you're always picking up more than you actually need just to get it out of the way so you can target the actual item that you want to pick up. It's a minor thing that's easily gone through, but I just wanted to bring mention of it. And number 4, for a game like this, I was expecting voice acting. I mean, there's voice acting in the beginning cutscene, which was awesome, by the way. But after that, there's no voice acting, and there's surprisingly very little sound when you're talking to people. After the entrance, and then no voice acting anywhere, it lets you down. It makes you feel like the game is a bit cheap whenever you're talking to villagers. It just seems like, you know, pay a few people, use a voice changer, or have them do voices, and just do all the voices for all the people. I mean, most of the lines that you talk to all these peasants are pretty generic and similar anyway, so it's not like you would have to do a whole lot of recording, but you know, it is early access, so I'm hoping that they will add some voice acting in there. That would just be that extra, you know, step to make the game just a little bit more magical. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like, if you don't ever do it, it's just laziness. And laziness will spread to other parts of the game, and you don't want players to feel like you're being lazy. So, you know, just add some voice acting. It's not too hard, you know, just a little bit. You know, at least when you talk to him and he says, hey, how are you doing there, buddy? You know, just something, you know, just a little bit, something. Anything would be better than this, because it's just, when you talk to people, it's just like talking to a wall. It's just boring and bland, and I didn't even want to talk to villagers. Screw them. They don't want to talk, they don't want to say anything to me, I don't want to say anything to them. That's the kind of feeling I was getting from this. So, that's all I got for the positive and negatives of this game. Let's go into my final thoughts now and let you know whether I think you guys should pick this game up or not. Overall, I was really enjoying myself while I was playing. I felt invested enough to keep playing. I didn't feel like I got robbed, so I don't even feel the need to get a refund. This is a game that I personally want to help and invest in, because I feel like with help, these developers could turn this game into something incredible. So far, there's a lot of promise here for this game. I can really see what they're going for here, and honestly, the future of the game looks really good as long as they keep up the hard work. I can really see, I really enjoyed how this game operates. I mean, I love me a good survival game. I prefer ones with multiple people, you know, but I don't mind playing the single player ones, and this one, it looks and feels pretty good. Honestly, I don't have a lot of complaints about this game except for what you heard. I mean, the only real complaint that I have is a few mechanical changes and about how empty the game is. I mean, it took me forever to find some animals to hunt. I still don't know how to craft bow and arrows, or armor, or clothing, or anything in that regard. Also, I have no idea how to get them, but I'm willing to keep playing and learn more about how to do those things so I can enjoy myself further. I guess what I'm saying is, in general, I think that if you like survival games or realistic games about medieval time frames, then you're probably really going to like this game. And it's not even asking for too much money right now. If I had to rate this game in its current state, which technically I don't have to since this isn't a deep dive review, I'd probably give this game a 7 out of 10 right now. It's above average for survival games that you're going to find out there, and it looks like it's only going to get better with time, so it might jump up to an 8 or a 9 in terms of survival games. So if you like games like this, if you've liked what you've heard and seen, then I strongly recommend you pick this game up and give it a nice solid try and support these developers. Within the first hour and a half, you are going to figure out if you like this game or not, and that will let you know whether you need to get a refund or not, so it's safe. I'm actually going to jump back onto the game because I want to discover more, get better, expand my hometown, build my village, and really see everything that this game has to offer. The game did something that a lot of survival games failed to do. It impressed me within the first 2-hour mark, which proves that it's possible if the game is worth a damn. So stop watching this video, go check out this game. I hope that my video was helpful to you guys out there, informative and non-biased. If it wasn't in any of those things, then you know, I at least hope that my video was somewhat entertaining. Don't forget to show me some support if you enjoyed the video, and thank you all so much for watching. I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure, and until then, I bid you farewell.